The battle that saved America. What really happened? Imagine waking up one morning and discovering that the United States doesn't exist. No stars and stripes. No White House. No Washington, D.C. Instead, North America remains under British control, and the American experiment ends before it truly begins. Sounds impossible, right? But there was one battle where that nightmare almost became reality. A battle so important that many historians believe if America had lost, the nation we know today would never have been born. Yet most people have never heard the full story. This isn't just a tale of soldiers and gunfire. It's a story of desperation, impossible odds, secret decisions, and one moment that changed the future of an entire continent. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why one battlefield in upstate New York became the place where America's fate hung by a thread. Because what happened there didn't just save a revolution, it changed world history forever. Act 1: America on the Brink. The year was 1777. The American Revolution was in serious trouble. The colonies had declared independence from Britain a year earlier, but declaring freedom and winning freedom were two very different things. The British Empire was the most powerful military force on earth. Its navy ruled the seas. Its army was highly trained, and many British leaders believed the rebellion would collapse within months. Honestly, from their perspective, that wasn't an unreasonable assumption. The Continental Army was struggling. Supplies were scarce. Money was running out. Many soldiers lacked proper clothing, food, and even shoes. Some historians describe the revolution at this stage as a gamble that seemed increasingly impossible to win. Then Britain came up with a bold plan, a plan designed to cut the colonies in half. The strategy was simple: control the Hudson River corridor and separate New England, the heart of the rebellion, from the southern colonies. Once divided, the Americans would be easier to defeat. At least, that was the theory. Leading this mission was British General John Burgoyne. Confident, experienced, and absolutely convinced victory was within reach. He marched south from Canada with thousands of troops. On paper, it looked unstoppable. But history has a funny habit of ignoring paper, and Burgoyne was about to learn that the hard way. Act 2: The road to Saratoga. As Burgoyne advanced, things began going wrong. Then worse. Then disastrously worse. The wilderness of New York wasn't cooperating. Roads had to be built. Forests had to be cleared. Supplies moved slowly. Every mile forward became a struggle. Meanwhile, American forces weren't sitting still. They harassed British troops, destroyed resources, slowed movement whenever possible. Think of it as the 18th century version of making your GPS recalculate every 5 minutes, except with muskets and far higher stakes. The deeper Burgoyne moved into enemy territory, the more isolated he became. His supply lines stretched dangerously thin. Food became scarce. Reinforcements failed to arrive as planned. And perhaps most importantly, local support never materialized in the numbers Britain expected. Instead of welcoming the British Army, many colonists resisted it. Soon, Burgoyne's grand campaign began to resemble a trap. But here's the twist: the Americans still weren't guaranteed victory. Their army was divided by competing personalities and political tensions. Several commanders disagreed with one another. One of the most famous was Benedict Arnold. Yes, that Benedict Arnold. Before becoming America's most infamous traitor, he was actually one of its most talented battlefield commanders, and his actions during this campaign would prove critical. But his story takes an unexpected turn later. For now, the stage was set. Two armies were moving toward a confrontation near a small town called Saratoga. Neither side fully understood that the outcome would echo across centuries. Act 2: The battle begins. The first major clash came in September 1777, known as the Battle of Freeman's Farm. The fighting was brutal. Wave after wave of attacks surged across fields and forests. Neither side achieved a clear victory, but something important happened. The British suffered heavy losses, losses they could not easily replace. Every casualty weakened Burgoyne's already fragile position. Meanwhile, American confidence grew. The impossible suddenly seemed possible. Weeks later came the decisive engagement, the Battle of Bemis Heights. This was the moment. Everything balanced on a knife's edge. American forces launched aggressive attacks. British lines struggled to hold. Chaos spread across the battlefield. And then Benedict Arnold entered the fight. Despite being embroiled in disputes with senior officers, Arnold reportedly charged directly into combat. He rallied troops, directed attacks, and helped shatter key British defenses. His horse was shot beneath him. He was wounded, but the momentum shifted. British positions collapsed. Burgoyne's army retreated. For the first time, a major British field force in America faced catastrophe, and catastrophe arrived quickly. Surrounded and running out of options, Burgoyne made a decision that stunned the world. Act 3. The surrender that changed history. On October 17, 1777, General Burgoyne surrendered. More than 5,000 British troops laid down their arms. It was one of the most significant victories of the entire American Revolution. But here's why Saratoga truly mattered. The battlefield victory was only the beginning. Across the Atlantic, powerful nations were watching, especially France. The French hated Britain, but they weren't eager to support a losing cause. Until Saratoga, the American victory proved the revolution had a real chance. Suddenly, France saw an opportunity. Soon, French money, weapons, soldiers, and naval forces began supporting the Americans. That alliance transformed the war. Without French assistance, many historians believe American independence would have been far less likely. Pause for a second and think about that. One battle in rural New York convinced a global power to join the fight. That's not just winning a battle, that's changing the geopolitical future of the world. The revolution survived. The United States eventually emerged victorious, and the chain reaction started at Saratoga. Conclusion. Today, Saratoga is often called the turning point of the American Revolution, and it's easy to see why. Had Burgoyne succeeded, the colonies might have been divided, the rebellion might have collapsed, French support might never have arrived, and the United States as we know it might never have existed. History often feels inevitable when we look backward, but it wasn't inevitable at all. Sometimes the future of millions depends on a few critical weeks, a handful of decisions, and one battlefield. Saratoga was one of those moments. A battle that didn't just save America, it helped create it. If you enjoyed uncovering this hidden chapter of history, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. And tell me in the comments, what other battle do you think changed the course of history more than people realize? Because some of the most fascinating stories aren't the ones everyone knows. They're the ones history almost forgot.